Hello, fellow armchair historians. Welcome to the show. I'm Anne-Marie Cannon, your host, historical fiction author, and curious soul always chasing the human side of history. Show notes include my website, links to content discussed in the episode, how to support the show, and a free short story download that introduces readers to Bedlam from my soon-to-be-released historical fiction series. On this podcast, my guests share the history they love most, and we experience it through their eyes. What fascinates them, what they've uncovered, and why the story still matters. Let's get into it. Hello, fellow armchair historians. Welcome back. I'm Anne-Marie Cannon, and today's episode is our Season 5 opening, which means it's part celebration, part bulletin board, and part deep exhale. Over the years, you've heard me chase stories across time, interviews, deep dives, research tangents, unexpected emotional moments, and occasionally me whispering, "Wait, what?" into a microphone. Behind the scenes, I've also been building multiple creative projects that all orbit the same center: history. For a while, those projects have been living in separate rooms, so to speak, separate labels, separate tabs open in my brain at 2 a.m. Not anymore. Starting now, I'm officially bringing everything together under one roof, as one connected creative home. Armchair Historians is still here, still the heartbeat, but now it lives alongside my fiction, documentary work, and the other history-drenched projects I can't seem to stop making. So you can find me at amcannon.com. Because apparently I don't do hobbies, I do historical ecosystems. This is officially Season 5 of Armchair Historians. This season is going to feel familiar in all the best ways. Thoughtful conversations, deep research, surprising perspectives, but it's also going to feel more connected to what I'm building right now as a creator. I'm excited to bring you that process. And we're kicking off the season with two guests I'm genuinely thrilled for you to hear. Janice Robinson Daly, a conversation that feels like stepping into a room where the past is alive and emotionally real. Then Barbara Stark Neiman, whose work lives at the intersection of history and heart, and whose conversation stayed with me long after we hit stop. Janice Robinson Daly and Barbara Stark Neiman, Season 5 is coming in strong. Now, I want to take a breath and acknowledge something heavier. We're living in a difficult moment. It can feel like nothing makes sense anymore, like the guardrails are gone, like the rules of law and basic norms don't apply the way we were taught that they should. It can feel like human decency has left the room, or at least the White House. Whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or you're just exhausted, here's what I know. Now more than ever, history matters. Not as trivia, not as escapism, but as a lifeline. History shows us what happens when power goes unchecked. History shows us how propaganda works. History shows us who gets erased first. History shows us the pattern and the price of silence. And history also shows us something else. People have resisted before. People have organized before. People have loved each other through terrifying times, and people have rebuilt after. So this season, we're going to keep doing what we do here. We're going to look hard at the past, not to despair, but to understand, to see clearly, to remember what's possible. And that brings me to the kinds of history I'm most drawn to, the stories I choose to visit here, because they're not always the ones that get handed to us in neat little textbooks. I'm drawn to diverse voices, people on the edges, people who were told no and kept speaking anyway, people whose existence disrupts the tidy versions of the past. For example, Victoria Woodhull, the first woman to run for U.S. president in 1872, a woman who refused to stay in the box history built for her. Or the indigenous history of Two-Spirit people, identities that encompass gender fluidity and community roles that vary by nation and tradition. Two-Spirit people have often been described as having the ability to walk between two worlds, between genders, between roles. Seen in many communities as gifted, as spiritual, as significant. That kind of history reminds us the present isn't the only way humans have ever understood identity. The binary-only story is not the whole story. And then there are the mudlarks, which, if you've been around here, you know I love with my whole heart. Mudlarks like Jason Sandy, Anna Borzello, Lynn Pugh, and Simon Bourne, also known as Sci-Fines, who spend their time sifting through mud and riverbanks for the traces of London's history, prehistory and newer, tiny fragments, everyday objects, lost things that somehow survive. And what I love about that, what I really love, is that it's history you can hold in your hand. Not kings and battles, though those matter too, but buttons, pottery shards, tokens, the texture of ordinary lives. So in this episode's show notes, I'm linking you to a few past episodes that capture this exact spirit. Victoria Woodhull Two-Spirit Histories and the Mudlarking Conversations, so you can revisit or jump in fresh. Okay, deep breath, Anne-Marie, because this is the part that makes my voice do that thing where it tries to shake, but we're going to be brave. My debut novel, Bedlam, The Case of Lord Simon, comes out this May. This is book 1 of the Bedlam series, a project built from years of research and obsession-level note-taking, set in a world where power, medicine, faith, class, and survival collide. And here's what that means for Armchair Historians. This is not turning into a book show, but moving forward alongside our interviews and history episodes. I'll share occasional research vault moments, a detail I found that made my jaw drop, behind the scenes updates on the series, historical context that shaped the story, and highlights as the books roll out. Because if you love history, you already know the past is a story factory. Sometimes the most responsible thing we can do is tell those stories with care. Now let's talk about a project close to my heart, Last Train Leaving Belgium. This documentary is rooted in memory and family history, how personal stories intersect with larger moments of history, and how echoes travel across generations. And here's the honest truth. It's on the back burner for now. Not abandoned, not forgotten, just waiting its turn, while I focus my creative energy on launching the Bedlam series and building momentum around the debut release. But when it's time to bring this documentary forward again, you'll hear about it here, because it belongs under the roof too. And yes, because my creative life also includes a little glitter and a lot of time travel via clothing, vintage is part of this universe. Because vintage isn't just fashion, it's material culture. It's what people saved, what they celebrated, what they outgrew, what they mended, what they passed along. So when it makes sense, I'll share these artifact moments too, because sometimes a single object can tell a whole story. But before we jump into the season, I want to say something quickly and sincerely. Making this show, doing the research, booking guests, writing, and producing all of it, it takes time and resources. If you love what we do and want to support it, there are a few ways. Choose what fits your life. You can support us on Patreon, where I share extra behind-the-scene content and monthly-ish creative updates in our member-only space under one roof. Or you can leave a tip through PayPal, Buzzsprout, or Ko-fi as a one-time thank you, and some of the most powerful support is free. Share an episode, leave a review, follow and subscribe, and join the email list so you're not at the mercy of the algorithm. All the links are in the show notes and on my website, www.amcanon.com. It's one-stop shopping for armchair historians, historical fiction, bring it back vintage, the last train leaving Belgium. Thank you for being here and for listening, for caring about history and story and the messy human parts of both. So that's the headline. Season 5 is here. Everything is coming together under one roof. 2 incredible guests to start. A debut novel launching in May. A documentary waiting in the wings, and history more necessary than ever. All right, everybody, grab your tea, your notebook, your emotional support timeline. Let's begin Season 5. Thanks for spending time with me on Armchair Historians. If you enjoyed this episode, the easiest way to support the show is to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you can, leave a rating or review, or share the episode with a friend who loves history. You'll find my website and links to everything we discussed in the show notes, along with ways to support the show more directly, whether that's joining the community, supporting financially, or simply helping more listeners to discover the podcast. And don't forget, the show notes also include a free short story download that introduces readers to Bedlam from my soon-to-be-released historical fiction series. Until next time, keep asking questions because history is anything but finished.